FatDag is a Weight Watchers leader in Indianapolis, Indiana. However, the views and opinions expressed during this podcast are his own. They do not represent the views of Weight Watchers. And now, here's your host and wingman, FatDag.
I am your host, FatDag. You're listening to WhysAdvice. My weight loss journey failed when I focused on how. It wasn't until I switched my focus to why that I truly transformed myself. Join the show on the web at FatDag.com and follow along on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at WhysAdvice. Send in your comments, your questions, and your celebrations. I'll include them as part of the show. But before we dive in, remember, when you're out of points, stop eating points. Hey, I'm honored to be your wingman as we walk through this journey together because I believe in you. That's right. Welcome to episode 130 of WhysAdvice. And want to let you know again, episode 130 is brought to you by my good friends over at Nokia Health. They've been a big supporter of my journey the entire time, and right now, between now and October 31st, their Nokia Health temporal thermometer is 20% off. I'll put a link in the show notes, but I tell you, I've used this thing. I actually truly enjoy using it. I like it a lot. Wish it was around when I had little kids because it does an amazing job, and I actually kind of, I started playing with it. I've taken my temperature more than I've ever have. You just scan it across your forehead, and it vibrates really lightly when it gives you a reading. It takes like 4,000 readings, and it's really it's just a cool tool. So check them out. Health.nokia.com is where you can find it. But again, I'll put a link in the show notes for you. I want you to know as we do this, is I get a couple requests for folks who want to have their message out in the middle of the show. As you know, the show, we're over 1 million downloads, about 10,000 downloads a week. So it's getting a little bit of attention out there, and people email me, say, hey, can you talk about this? Can you talk about that? And I refuse a lot of it because I want to stay focused on what it is we're trying to do here, and focusing on our health and our fitness is my priority. So as we go through this process, know that as occasionally as these things pop in, they're going to be things that I truly recommend. I wouldn't push it just for the sake of pushing it. That's not how I'm going to operate this show. But I want to give you that heads up that that when companies who support me and give me vital tools to help me reach my goals, then heck yeah, I'm going to support them back. It's one of the things I always say: if you support me, I support you, and that's how it is. So check them out, health.nokia.com, and get the thermometer between now and October 31st. It's 20% off. Out of Ohio, Kellie writes in, says, hello from Ohio. First, a brief of my weight journey. I first joined Weight Watchers at the age of 15 at the request of my mom. That opens a whole other can of worms, and really, I think, has a lot to do with my mentality towards food. I, like you, have joined several times, either doing meetings or online only. I failed miserably online, but I had some success in the meetings, losing at most 13 pounds. Fast forward to age 33, 2 kids and a stillborn son, and so much anxiety and depression. I found myself weighing 284.4 pounds. One of my best friends asked me to be in her wedding, October 21st, 2017. Knowing the other girls who would be bridesmaids, I knew I would be the largest girl standing up there. I didn't want to suffer that embarrassment. Therefore, I finally joined Weight Watchers for the last time, April 25th, 2017. My goal was to lose 30 pounds by the wedding. Through amazing support all around and a willpower I can't explain, I exceeded my goal and I lost 43 pounds by the wedding yesterday. I even had to have my bridesmaid dress taken in twice because of how much weight I lost. I was so proud and so happy. I feel so much better and even more now that I want to lose weight for my health and for my family. That's awesome, right? Well, why do I feel so defeated? After getting my hair done for the wedding, I kept looking in the mirror thinking, man, this makes my face look so round, but maybe I'll feel better once I get my makeup done and my dress on. Nope, I kept feeling huge. I was still the largest bridesmaid, and it just kept haunting me through the night. I tried to keep pushing it away because I had a blast celebrating with my friend's wedding. After all, it wasn't about me anyway. It was her day. And darn it, I've lost 43 pounds so far, the most I've ever lost. This morning, we all gathered around the computer to look at the photographer's photos, and my worst fear was revealed. I looked huge. I didn't feel flattering in my dress, and that feeling of embarrassment came back, and I just felt like all that amazing work, and I still look huge. I told my husband how I felt, and he's been amazingly supportive, and he told me I looked absolutely beautiful and thought my face looked slimmer, etc. I love him for that, but why do I still have this pit in my stomach, feeling of almost a depression that it wasn't good enough, and I was still embarrassed? I know I should be proud of myself. I didn't lose 43 pounds by accident. I know I'm not done, and I'm going to keep going, but I feel like I always will see her wedding pictures, and I'll think I'm the huge feeling of defeat I'm feeling now. Why? Thanks for your advice, Kellie. Well, Kellie, let's start with the cool parts of your email. You're down 43 pounds. That's amazing work. Just as you said, it didn't happen by accident. You were focused. You were disciplined. You had a strong feeling that even you couldn't explain to exceed the goal that you set. What that proves is the feelings that you have now, you can completely eradicate because you've proven that you can get to goal. You've proven by losing 43 pounds using a willpower that you can't explain, which was fueled by your why, that you can set a goal, you can track, you can stay focused, and you can hit it. So now it's just a matter of time of continuing to do everything that you've done, and you'll get to goal. Now let's talk about your involvement in this wedding. Your best friend asked you to be in her wedding because she loves you. You're her best friend. She didn't care what you look like. She cared about you being there for her at times when you probably, other people may not have been. For whatever you guys have been through together is so impactful in her life that in the most beautiful day of her life, she wanted someone to celebrate it with, and all she cared was that you would be there with her. That's all she cared about. And for the rest of her life, she's going to have pictures of those who stood by her at the most amazing day in her life. And she's going to see you and see that you were there. That's what she's going to focus on. I promise you, you're the only one focused on the rest. So what I want you to do is I want you to celebrate the fact, just like you did, that it was an amazing day. It was an amazing ceremony. It was absolutely her day. And then when you get to your goal, because you're clearly on track, you're down 43 pounds. It's the most you've ever lost until tomorrow, until next week, until next month. That number is going to continue to climb. You're going to get to goal. And then when you look back at these photos, you are absolutely going to love everything about them. When you get to goal, all of those before photos become the prize. They become reminders of everything you went through, and you'll go digging through photo albums. I promise you, you will go digging through every single camera roll that you have, looking for any sort of photos that you have. Because when you get to goal, you understand the journey. You understand how much hard work it took to get you to win. And you want those reminders to say, I did this. So the photos are really, really great. You're going to love them when you get to goal. And clearly you're going to get to goal because you're down 43 pounds. You've set your sights and you're taking care of it. So now, just like your husband said, feel fantastic because you look beautiful. He's validated. He's the only one you have to please. It's going to take a while for our minds to catch up in this journey. And so what I want you to do is I want you to focus on what it is you're doing. I want you to focus on the hard work, and I want you to take the advice of those who support you just like you supported your friend by being in her wedding. You look great, you're feeling great, and you're on fire. Kellie, keep up the amazing work. I'm so proud of you. Pam writes in, says, "Hi, FatDag. I want to apologize now. This is a long email, but I'm hoping this will help someone else out. I've emailed in twice before, but the last time was when I emailed you when I hit Wonderland. My Connect username is Pamela, GOLLOB. I know, real original, right? The first time I started Weight Watchers, I got down to 175 and I quit. I wasn't at goal. I got frustrated and life was getting in the way. I know all of them are excuses, but at the time, I had too much on my plate to even begin to focus on me. My fiance at the time was getting ready to deploy to Afghanistan with the Iowa Army National Guard. That year was hell. Even with people within our deployment support group said it was the worst deployment any of them had ever been through. Food was my comfort and my crutch. Yes, I'm an emotional eater, and before I knew it, I was up to 225 pounds. I barely held on to that for my wedding, which happened 2 months after he came home from Afghanistan. I had to crash diet just to get that weight and comfortably fit into my dress. Fast forward 4.5 years, my weight loss journey started for the final time number 2, on March 3rd, 2015, at the heaviest I've ever been at 266.2 pounds. My why when I started? Life insurance. I just wanted to get life insurance. See, my height and my weight automatically disqualified what I like to call the rubber stamp denied. They denied me to even go through the physical process. I was just too heavy. With a 6-month-old son at the time and not being able to get life insurance, it was crushing to say the least. As a parent, you want to take care of your kids no matter what capacity you are in, and I couldn't do that. Talk about make you feel like the worst parent in the world. I worked the program as I knew it works, and the weight started to come off. I got down to 225 pounds, and my husband urged me to try it again and apply for life insurance. I didn't want to. I was afraid I would get rubber stamp denied again. But I did. You know what? I wasn't rubber stamp denied. I took the physical, and the day of the physical, I weighed 222, and a few weeks later, I got the results. I passed. I have life insurance. Talk about a happy dance. That meant my why had to change, and so it did. See, I'd always been an overweight person, so I knew to make my why stick, it needed something long-term. I don't think I've ever remembered a time of being at a healthy weight, even as a child. Growing up, I was always the one picked last for any sporting picks because I knew I couldn't keep up. I would make them lose. I watched my mom and my grandpa yo-yo diet, and I thought that was the norm, which I now know is not normal or healthy. That's when it dawned on me. My son was about 18 months by this point, and I knew what I have to do was to set an example. Be the parent who is healthy, takes care of themselves, and will be around for a very long time. About 4.5 years ago, I had a massive blood clot in my leg, and I was barely in my 30s. About 3 years ago, I lost my grandma to a massive heart attack, and my grandpa 1.5 years ago to a stroke. The common theme, heart and blood clotting issues. Was my grandmother overweight? Absolutely, but my grandpa wasn't extremely overweight. So that brings me to my new why. I want to be around for my son and all of the life experiences he is going to have. Mind you, he's only 2, but I want to be around for him for many years. So my why is I don't want to yo-yo diet ever again. It's not healthy. It's not okay for my son to see. I want my son to not know the mommy who is morbidly obese, which is where I was when I started Weight Watchers. This last spring and summer, Complacency City hit, and honestly, it could have taken up residency. I have literally struggled with the last 8 to 10 pounds that I have lost up until 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, a coworker's husband went through a massive health issue, was in the hospital for 2 weeks, most of which was ICU. He made it and he is home recovering. That's when it hit me. What my coworker's husband went through could have been me had I not started Weight Watchers back in 2015 when I did. It scared me. It shook me to my core. This could have been me. Talk about a refocusing moment. So on October 1st, I started tracking like a newbie again. There was no ifs and or buts. It's what I had to do. My coffee creamer came to find out was adding 3 to 5 points a day because I wasn't measuring and tracking correctly. That alone was putting me into maintenance mode, from what you said on previous podcast. The 1st and the 2nd of October, I didn't get blue dots both days. I missed on the low side as I just wasn't hungry, so I didn't eat them, just because I had them. October 3rd came, and since that day, blue dots all the way, every day. This has become my new goal and focus, to get those blue dots every day and to get to goal. Goal is so close, I can see it, and I want to be part of Team Lifetime sooner, and I will get there. So today, October 11th, I stepped on the scale at the meeting, knowing I was going to have a loss, but holy crap, a full week of blue dots and exercise, I was down for the week 5.2 pounds. What? I'm 5 months away from being on the plan for 2 years. This is crazy and shouldn't ever even have been possible, but it is, and I did it. With the weight loss today, I am down a total of 86.4 pounds and working towards my 100-pound charm. I know if I didn't get there, it's not the end of the world. My healthy weight range starts at 95 pounds gone. I know from listening that goal is a feeling, it's not a number, and that is why I'm okay if I don't get that 100-pound charm, even though it would be super cool to get it. I know when I get to goal, I will rock it, and it will be awesome, and I'll be the amazing mom and wife that my family deserves. Sorry this is so long, but thank you for all you do for the Weight Watcher community, the podcast, and of course, our country. Best focus, Pamela out of Fort Dodge, Iowa. Well, Pamela, thank you as well for all your service to our nation. Your husband's doing amazing work for the Guard, and as a military spouse, I understand that role completely. And so being the support system that you are is an amazing sacrifice as well. So thank you to your entire family for their service to our nation as well. It's an incredible honor to be talking to you through the email at this point because of your patriotism. So thank you for that. Let's go all the way back to the beginning. Let's talk about where you are in this journey. The life insurance thing. I get that. I get that's why you wanted to start and you wanted to have this why. But let's think about life insurance is great, and you've figured out through the process that what's maybe a little better is life, and you're living it. And so I would much rather provide a healthy, fit life to your children than the actual life insurance. Now, I'm glad you're putting a plan B into place, but plan A has to be you. Plan A doesn't have to be life insurance. Plan A is taking care of you and your life, and you are now doing that. When you hit when you started this journey before, you got down to 175 pounds and you quit. Because what happens is that was complacency. You got frustrated. Your life got in the way. What we have to do is we have to get to the point where no matter what gets thrown into our life, that we have an autopilot and we have a response mechanism that is healthy and fit. It's what I talk about all the time. When folks start this process, we all want to eat the exact same way, have no change in our life, and we just want to lose weight. It doesn't work that way. The lifestyle we have built is what puts us overweight. And so in order for us to not be overweight anymore, we have to unbuild that lifestyle that we created, and we have to create a new lifestyle. If you grew up your entire life eating junk food and not working out, you have to get rid of those two things in order to have change. And so a lot of us, we start this plan and we are able to change our life a little bit. And then as soon as, tragedy hits or as soon as stress hits, we revert back to our old ways because we're so focused on getting it done. We're not actually living it. We're actually just doing it, which is slightly different. What I want you to do is I want you to think about in a moment what you need to do is you truly have to change your life. If the food was your comfort and your crutch, we now need to find a different crutch for you. At this point, for me, exercise is my crutch. So, when I get stressed or overwhelmed, I want to go work out because that feels better to me than overeating does. But because I've changed my lifestyle, and for me, it's now an autopilot response to be healthy. Sure, there's still days of overeating. There's some controlled overeating. There's some mindful overeating, but it's not due to stress or anxiety. So I want you to kind of just focus on, if you want to completely change your life, you have to actually completely change your life. So now your why is very powerful. I love this one. I see this a couple times. And your why is you don't want a yo-yo diet ever again. It's not healthy for your son to see it. Our children watch everything we do. And so you're right. Just like you said, you watched it through your whole life. You watched it. You thought it was the normal thing to do. You had the chance to break that cycle. You now have the chance to teach your son that living a healthy lifestyle is actually what we just do. And so he won't know that struggle, the stress that you're going through when you win. When you get to goal and he sees you living healthy and happily, he's like, yeah, I get it. So I'm glad to see that as you were working through the process, you understood that by not tracking everything, that you were actually eating in a maintenance mode. And that's what makes the journey so difficult. The piece that makes it challenging is when you think you're doing everything right and you're not getting the results that you're promised, it becomes a battle in your head for you to figure out what's going on. And very rarely do we take the time to look back and go, oh, actually, it's actually my fault. I actually wasn't tracking everything. So it's why we actually just get in the mindset of, hey, part of this process is I just track everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, and I use that to educate myself as I go through the process. The tracking is the education piece. You start tracking consistently and honestly, at some point you'll start seeing everything you put in, you'll know what impact it has on your journey. Then as you go through that and you have to focus on getting those blue dots, and you have to understand the concept of when you're out of points, stop eating points. It means you can switch to 0 point foods. And as you switch to 0 point foods, you look back on the day and say, well, maybe I should have had this instead of that. And you start now recreating your day and say, what could I have changed to have more points later on down the road? You're clearly getting it done. The fact that you're now focused so heavily on your blue dots because you know it works. I think it's amazing that when you finally figure it out and you finally track consistently and you had a 5.2 pound loss in a single week, granted, that's not going to happen every week, but that's the first indication to you that this program works. It truly works. You can get it done. You're down 86.4 pounds. That did not happen by accident. Now, whether you can get to 100 or not is irrelevant. I was in a very similar situation. I lost 91 pounds. It would have been very fun to get 9 more pounds to get that, 100-pound charm. But I got to the point where I stepped on the scale and I said, I don't want to lose any more weight. So when they handed me the star and the key for lifetime, that's way more valuable than that 100-pound charm. When you get there, you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. So keep up the amazing work. 86.4 pounds. Pamela, it's amazing work. Didn't happen by accident. It happened because you're dedicated to your mission. You're focused. You know why you're doing it. Now let's just completely cement those habits and make them your routine, put them on autopilot, and let's get it done. Out of Kannapolis, North Carolina, Lisa writes in and says, Dear FatDag, I finally figured out how to put my why into words. It is, or was, because I want to love my body. I know that on the surface, this sounds vain. Like I want to look in the mirror and say to myself, wow, you're hot. And sure, I'd love to be able to do that. After all, who doesn't want to look in the mirror and feel good about what they see? But that really isn't it. A recent conversation with a friend brought it all into focus for me. My friend's mother has dementia. It's getting to the point where her mom needs the care of an assisted living center. Her mother is adamantly against moving, but at this point, my friend, let's call her Jane, is doing what she feels is best for her mom. In a recent phone call, Jane told me that her mom had screamed, "You don't love me." Jane was so incredibly hurt. I immediately saw the untruth of this and said, Jane, of course you love her. Love is not always giving someone what they want. It's doing what is best for them, even when it's hard for you and hard for them. Aha! This is what made it clear. Wanting to love my body isn't going to cut it. Actually, loving my body is where it's at. I'm following this lifestyle because I love my body. I want to do what is best for it. I want to make the choices that show that I care. I am making the choices that show that I care. I know that my mindset has changed just because the old me would have said, I'm making the hard choices, but this time it hasn't been hard. I'm not looking longingly at the jar of M&Ms on my boss's desk and feeling deprived, thinking, I can't have that. I don't want that. Just as I don't want to harm someone I love. I don't want to harm my body with an onslaught of unhealthy junk. Do I still have the occasional indulgence? Sure. There was a huge birthday party at my house at the end of July, and you bet that I worked a cake and ice cream into my plan for the day. Then I went right back to healthy food, and I didn't feel deprived when the leftover disappeared over the next few days. Why? Because I love my body, and I'm showing that love by how I'm caring for it. And I feel awesome. Knowing my why has been a complete game changer, and I never would have really dug down and put it into words if it wasn't for you. Thank you for encouraging me to figure out my why, because so many times my weight loss journey failed when I focused on how. Now that I'm focused on my why, I am truly transforming myself. I owe you a sincere debt of gratitude, Lisa. And then Lisa goes on to say, P.S. I will be handwriting this into my journal just in case I need a reminder at some difficult point in my future. And then also goes on to say, I realize that losing weight is hard, and I don't want any way for your listeners to think that I am minimizing their efforts. I have so much respect for anyone who's working to get healthy. Lisa, I completely agree with this. Now, I agree with you. If you're tuned into the show, if you're listening to the show, it means you're at least wanting to get this done. You may not know how yet. You may not know why yet. All that may play in, but the fact that you're now listening means you want to. That's a great start. And if you want to, you can do it, which is fun, but it's not exactly easy. However, I do agree with you, Lisa, is I've made some changes in my life where, for the lack of a better term, I believe it is easy. Maintaining is easier for me than losing was. And it's only easier because I figured out that, just like you, I don't want some of the stuff that I used to want before. And so I'm not having to say no to it. I just actually don't want it. And that piece makes it, earlier in the journey, I had to actually say no to things I wanted. And now what I want is different. Now, sure, there's still times where I have to actually be mindful and think differently. But for the most part, the things that I want are goal and health. And that's working very well. Now, when you talk about being vain and having vanity, I think vanity plays a key role in this process. At some point, you have to understand that vanity is a term that other people use to describe you. It's also tied into jealousy. I think if you think you look good and you're happy with that, it's not vanity, it's pride. It's only vanity to an onlooker looking in who isn't where you're at. I've said this on a couple previous episodes. If you go to the gym and you find the folks who are working out, they don't consider each other vain. They don't look at someone else who's working and say, oh my God, look at that person's so vain. They're proud of the effort because they know the effort it takes to maintain a solid physique and to get it done, and you're clearly getting it done. So keep up that work. It's interesting how it took a tragedy in your friend's life for you to realize this. And what's funny how as we go through this journey, we almost always figure it out and we treat other people differently than we treat ourselves. And when you responded that, of course that she loves you, and that sometimes love is not always giving someone what they want, it's doing what's best for them, even when it's hard for you and them. It's why you have to make the decisions here to completely change your life. If you truly love yourself and you want to take care of your body, you have to make the hard decisions that are difficult to make, and you got to stick with them. You can do this. And I'm glad that aha moment made it clear that you say, I love my body. It's the only body we get. You've got to take care of it because you don't get another. And so as you completely change your mindset, that's when you start seeing the fact that you're making goal. It's because when you change your mind and you start focusing on why you're doing this and you bounce every decision in the future against your why, do I want this or do I want goal? Do I want pizza? Do I want goal? Do I want cake or do I want to make goal? You only have to get it right a handful of times, but you absolutely can get it done. And I'm very glad to see at the very end you say you're writing this in your journal because this is what will propel you forward. Times will get difficult. It will become a challenge. And at that point, you read back here, you say, yeah, I get this. I really am doing this. So Lisa, keep up the great work. You're clearly getting it done. I want to hear when you get to goal. I want you to tell me exactly how good it feels, because I want to share that. Thank you for writing in. At Greenbrier, Tennessee, Connie writes in and says, "Hi, FatDag. I've been listening to you for a couple weeks. I really find the podcast very motivating, and I love listening to the life stories. I am 51 years old and 5'1" at 137 pounds, and I would like to be 121 pounds. Why 121? Because I felt that weight about 14 years ago. I had lost weight with the Dr. Phil diet. It worked great. I tried to do it again when I was gaining the weight back, but it wasn't working for me. I needed something different. My goal weight before your podcast was 129 pounds. I knew I could do 129 because I did it before on Weight Watchers. This was my third time with Weight Watchers, never to make any goal weight. I felt the 129 and it was okay, but not great. When I was 121, I could wear all the cute medium-sized clothes and I could feel good in them. You're right about feeling great. I want to feel great. I am thankful that you were in my head pushing for what I really want and for not settling for what I could get out of Weight Watchers. God bless, Connie. Connie, you figured it out. You know, this is a real short, simple email that you know what's going on. Goal is a feeling. You know, sure, there's a number you have in your head at 121, but if at 122 you absolutely feel great, then well, maybe 122 is the number. If at 121 you get there and you say, then maybe 120 is the number. But you're the one that gets to decide what success looks like. The person who defines success in this journey is you. It's your choice. If you wake up every morning and you say, I feel the best I've ever felt, then that's goal. You know, if your doctor agrees with you, then you satisfy the program requirements and you bring that into your meeting and you celebrate. You know, if not, then you and your doctor have a conversation of how great you feel and you figure that piece out. But the other thing you've proven is that feeling of feeling great is what will drive you to goal, regardless of how you use. The why is the fuel. The how is the mechanism you choose to use to get there. So the metaphor is if you know why you're doing it, it doesn't matter if it's the Dr. Phil diet, the Atkins diet, there's so many different plans out there. The one thing they all have in common is that if you know why you're doing them, you can trick your brain long enough to use that how to get to a point where all of a sudden you've completely changed your life, and that will carry you to goal. Now, certain diets out there are better than others because some of them are sustainable a long time. It's why I've chosen Weight Watchers for my journey. Because for my lifestyle, being able to fit anything into the plan the way I want to is the most convenient for me. But I know why I'm staying at goal. I know why I wake up every morning and make the decision on, do I want to track today? Do I want to weigh in this morning? All of that is with the strong why. So you can clearly get it done, Connie. Keep up the amazing work. I'm so proud of you. Last up, before the show, I'm Facebook Live and I'm on Instagram Live. And Sara writes in, she said she made Lifetime today. For 4 years, 44 pounds gone. She's been working this out, and today she hits Lifetime. Sara, congratulations. It's such an honor to celebrate this journey with you. Keep up the amazing work, and thanks for being here on Instagram with us at WhysAdvice. Folks, what is it that you're celebrating? Let's share it on the air. Go to FatDag.com, click on Listen Now, send in your celebrations, your comments, and your questions. I'll work them in as part of the show. I want you to email in your celebrations because I want you to be proud of what you're doing. Well, that's going to do it for this time. Remember that losing weight and getting healthy has nothing to do with luck. You have to remain disciplined and focused. Set your sights on your goal and go after it. I wish you good focus.